All right, today we'll be talking about the R22 POH limitation section. The R22 has several types of limitations, including airspeed limits, rotor speed limits, power plant limitations, center of gravity limitations, flight and maneuver limitations, operation limitations, fuel limitations, and then the placard section, which we'll also hit on. As far as airspeed limits go, the VNE or never exceed speed is 102 knots up to 3,000 feet density altitude. And then above that, there's a plaque that you look at to tell what your VNE is if you're going to be operating above 3,000 feet DA. On the airspeed indicator itself, there are three colors: green, yellow, and red. Green indicates the normal operations airspeed. Yellow is the cautionary airspeed limit, and then green or red is the never exceed line itself. As far as rotor speed limits go, maximum power on rotor speed limit is 104%, and the minimum is going to be 101%. For power off, maximum is 110%, minimum is 90%. Power plant limitations include certain operating limits for the power plant. Engine maximum speed is 2,652 RPM at 104% rotor disc speed. Cylinder head max temperature is 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Oil max temperature is 245 degrees Fahrenheit. And oil pressure can range anywhere from 25 psi during idle all the way up to 115 during start and warm up, with the max during flight being 95 psi. Oil quantity minimum for takeoff is 4 quarts. Hillsboro Aviation requires 5 quarts, or 4.5. Excuse me. Manifold pressure. Oh man. Yeah. We'll talk about manifold pressure placards in just a moment. Weight limits. Max gross weight limit for the standard R22 is 1,300 pounds. However, for the Beta and Beta 2 models is 1,370, which is what you'll be flying at Hillsboro. Maximum per seat limit, 240 pounds, including any baggage in the baggage compartment underneath the seat. Maximum in either baggage compartment is up to 50 pounds. Minimum solo pilot plus baggage weight with doors installed is 130 pounds with standard fuel, or 135 pounds with auxiliary fuel. Oh, goodness. Okay. Moving along. Flight maneuver limitations. Several maneuver limitations for the R22 are imposed, including aerobatic flight, which is prohibited. Low G cyclic pushovers, also prohibited. Low G pushover can create a zero gravity situation, which then leads to mass bumping, and that's bad news bears. So stay away from that. Flight prohibited with the governor selected off, with exceptions for in-flight malfunction or emergency procedures training. No flight into known icing. Maximum operating density altitude is 14,000 feet. Okay. Just hitting on some of the highlights here. Yeah. Okay. So, also there's a note for caution. Avoid abrupt cyclic and collective inputs. You want to make everything as smooth as possible. Inputs are smooth, then the flight will be smooth as well. Kinds of operation limitations. VFR day is approved, and VFR operation at night is permitted. However, your landing, navigation, instrument, and anti-collision lights must be operational. IFR flight is prohibited. Okay, fuel limitations. The common fuel for aviation is avgas 100 low lead. That's generally what you'll find at all airports in the United States. 91, 96 octane is also approved for fuel in all engines in the R-22. Excuse me. Capacity limitations. In the main tank, there are 19.8 U.S. gallons. Main tank usable capacity is 19.2, so there's a little bit unusable there. Optional auxiliary tank will hold 10.9, and 10.5 is usable in the aux tank. Okay, moving along to the placard section. Different placards you'll find in the helicopter. One includes the limit manifold pressure chart, which you'll reference before each flight and even during each flight, depending on the temperature and pressure altitude. Then you can also find your maximum continuous manifold pressure and then your maximum manifold pressure for takeoff. Okay, another placard you'll find is limit manifold pressure for the Beta 2. Looks a little bit different than the regular Beta or standard Beta or Alpha engine. Never exceed speed, I was talking about earlier. You can find a placard for that. 102 knots everywhere below 3,000 DA, and then if you go above that, it's going to be decreased accordingly. Other placards include on or about the helicopter. You'll find a fuel sticker on the tank's main and auxiliary, denoting how many gallons of fuel they can carry. Also, near the fuel shutoff valve, you'll find an on-off placard. You'll also find no smoking placards in the helicopter. On the underside of each main rotor blade, you'll find a placard that says never pull down, push up opposite blade. Let's see, there's a few others here, but see what's important. Rotorcraft approved for day and night VFR operations only. You'll find that as well. Low G pushovers prohibited. For the carburetor heat, a placard noting below 18 inches manifold pressure, ignore the gauge and apply full carburetor heat. Okay. All right, and then as per the FAA, limitations include flight when surface winds exceed 25 knots, including gusts, is prohibited. Flight when surface wind gust spreads exceed 15 knots is prohibited. And continue flight in moderate, severe, or extreme turbulence also prohibited. In turbulence, adjust forward speed between 60 knots and 0.7 VNE, but no lower than 57. Okay, that does it for the POH operations limitations section for the R22. And thanks for listening.